Jabroni, Jabronixyz, oh, it doesn't matter, you spell jabroni.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Two Jabronis with a Wrestling Podcast. BJ Cruz here with my tag team partner, the incomparable Jeremy Lost. Jay, what is up, my dude?
Did I do something wrong? You didn't give me a nice intro or anything. You just jumped right into it. Are we beeping?
No, we have a lot to talk about. I for the first time in a long time, it slipped my mind to do it. That's weird. You're right. I felt weird when I was doing it, and I was like, something's missing. There's not enough salt on this intro, so I apologize. I'll come up with
not enough dip on the chip.
Right, exactly. I'll come up with a really good one next week that will probably infuriate you because So we're obviously doing this through Zoom. Whenever I'm doing that intro and I see it on your face that it irritates you, that's when I know I've done a good job. So I'll bring the extra sauce next week. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I feel it feels weird. It feels almost as weird as Ali being the leader of Retribution.
Weird is it's definitely
weird
an adjective to describe it.
Sense,
oh yeah. No, totally. Well, we're gonna get to that, but let's do some housekeeping here. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you download your podcasts, and if you're one of our fantastic Apple Podcast users, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, and if you're feeling spicy, leave a review, and our Spotify people, hit us with that follow and help us climb those Spotify charts.
Make sure you also follow us on social. You can follow us at 2Jabronis Pod on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeremy A. Loss. You can follow Ben at Cruise Control. That's control with a K. And also make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's a lot of good stuff on there. You get to see our pretty faces. You get to see my sweet heel poster that I have in my room.
That's a great background. That's a great
somehow
great
let
background.
me have. So yeah, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
All right, we got a lot of things to talk about, so let's get to it. It is now time to stick to wrestling. And for this week's Stick to Wrestling, before we actually get to what we're going to talk about, rest in peace to Glow. That's where that sound drop comes from, our new sound drop, the Stick to Wrestling drop. And Glow got the old heave-ho today, officially. They were supposed to...
I'm very disappointed in that. That show kicked ass.
It's a big bummer, but, shout out to Alison Brie, Mark Maron, and the rest of the cast. And hopefully, they figure out their next step soon, but obviously the pandemic has put a damper on everyone's plans. And Glow was unfortunately not able to avoid that.
Movies are out of the picture for the rest of the year. A whole bunch of movies moved back, including our boy... Black Adam is no longer on the release schedule for 2021.
Yeah,
or 2022. Shit. So it's crazy times right now. I mean, things are just moving around. It's just I don't like it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go out and say it. I don't like it.
Yeah, let's hopefully knock on wood. I know it's been feels like 9,000 months at this point, but hopefully things get back to normal sooner than later. But all right, let's get to it. Let's stick to wrestling here.
I like how we said stick to wrestling. And we started talking about television and movies.
Yeah,
immediately. We're off to a rough start.
No, I was paying homage.
Okay, I want to do this lead in tonight because I was super hyped about the show last night.
Yeah.
Or Sunday night, whenever you're listening to this. NXT TakeOver was pretty damn good.
It was good.
Now,
it was a good card.
It was from. Now let's talk. I think what we first have to talk about is the Capitol Wrestling Center.
Yeah,
which is just the performance center with extra lights and the Thunderdome wall
and a cage. There seems to be some sort of cage that you the cages you used to climb over in high school, and you were late for her.
It's literally a chain link fence in front of plexiglass. It's just really weird. It looks like they're fighting in a basement in Fight Club.
I was gonna say it reminded me of a Street Fighter level, that was later on in the game. After you've beaten Ryu and Ken and all that stuff, so it definitely had that feel. I was a fan of it. I wasn't bothered by it necessarily. At least they added the Thunderdome feel to it with actual fans. So I was into it from an aesthetic feel.
I didn't mind it. I'm not trying to trash it at all. It just felt like, since it's in a much smaller area, it's basically the Thunderdome light.
Right.
It felt a little cramped at times. And also I found it really funny that Beth Phoenix and
Vic Joseph, Wade Barrett,
Barrett were not in attendance. So like Vic Joseph was just by himself.
Where were they? Were they
standings? I have no idea.
I did think that was a little weird.
Yeah, it's just weird because the WWE had like stand-in announcers for whatever reason. But all in all, I really enjoyed the show. I think from start to finish, they really just kind of elevated it into the crescendo, which was that Kyle O'Reilly Finn Balor match, which was fucking brutal. They beat the shit out of each other. And it looks like Finn Balor has a broken jaw.
Is that kayfabe though? Is that a kayfabe injury? I saw some stuff online that it might be a kayfabe injury to play up, just how rough that match actually was. Obviously, he was bleeding
I don't know how you
profusely.
kayfabe that jaw. That thing was like massive.
It was messed up. He was messed up.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought Kyle O'Reilly showed out. I think he is a singles competitor. I think you have to make him a singles competitor from now on.
I mean, that's what I was wondering too. Is just like he had all this good karma around him entering the match. Because it's like, oh, he's finally going to get his shot. Everyone who saw him in Ring of Honor is going to finally, everyone else is going to see what we saw when we watched him be a single star there and the champion there. And my concern heading into it was, I'm with it. I think Kyle O'Reilly should get his opportunity to be a single star. How was he going to look once Undisputed Era is not near him? Right? Was he going to look out of place aesthetically next to like a Finn Balor who was a singles superstar? And he did not. You know what I mean? Kyle O'Reilly looked legit. He looked the part. He obviously can play the part. We've seen that over and over again. But even when they were from the get-go, when they were announcing, the competitors in the very, very beginning, lights go down, they announce it's Kyle O'Reilly versus Finn Balor. You're like, oh, KOR is legit. Like this dude, he has the look. He just needed the opportunity, and now he's getting it.
It had a big fight feel.
Yeah.
And they really went to town on each other. Finn Balor's, I mean, we rave about him ad nauseum on this show. He has just an extra level that he can go that not a lot of people have, and then he can take. Like, he'll just carry you with him. Like you can just like shake and bake like Ricky Bobby style, just draft him and go with it.
Yeah.
But man, I thought they put on an excellent match. I wasn't too fond of the ending because it seemed a little random to me. Where Adam Cole he got abused by
Ridge Holland.
That was a little out of left field. It kind of ruined the moment because I thought the moment was Finn Balor showing Kyle O'Reilly respect. Like
that was a great
moment. Kyle
moment.
O'Reilly is legitimate. He was a Ring of Honor champion. He's had a decent singles career outside of WWE, but this was his moment to be like, I am a star within NXT. And I felt like that kind of soured it. But all in all, I thought it was a great main event. I think it sets up Finn Balor for some really interesting moves ahead. Obviously, Karrion Kross is still waiting in the wings. And then there's other people too. Whether it's a Tommaso Ciampa, whether it's Adam Cole still, or some other folks. Maybe the draft shakes things up a little bit as well. So, the NXT title picture is wide open. And then you look at the other side of things and you look at the women's picture. That match was really good. It started off pretty slow for me. I was kind of worried about where it was going, and then it started to pick up. But where it lost me and where I kind of got confused as to what's going to happen next is at the end. We all kind of expected Io to win because they just gave her the belt. She needs to have this run. They have the Toni Storm moment, which I thought was great because she popped up on the screen. I'm a huge Toni Storm fan.
Yeah.
And she challenges Io, and then we get the payoff of those teases, and it's Ember Moon. So it's like, well, they kind of canceled each other out. Like that Ember Moon moment could have been massive if she was by herself. That Toni Storm moment would have been massive by itself. And they just kind of clashed, and it didn't work for me when they were both there. Because now what do? Are you doing Toni Storm versus Io? Are you doing Ember versus Io? Are you waiting for Are you going to do both at the same time? Like, where are we going with this? It just felt a little cluster fuckish, if you will.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. Let me rewind a little bit to just kind of wrap up on Finn and KOR. So with the ending with Ridge Holland and Undisputed Era getting involved, I think they're starting to allude to that Fish and Roddy are potentially the ones who are going to crack the foundation of Undisputed Era and kind of split it down the middle.
They're behind it?
I mean, just the way it kind of shook out, and they were like, "What happened? Did you see what happened? Like, you weren't with your boy, like watching one of your best friends fight for the title this whole time."
I can see that happening.
So that's where I thought it was coming from. Whether they align themselves with Ridge Holland, I don't think so. But maybe the three of them beat up on Adam Cole, and for whatever reason. But I do think, because what makes me think that is I saw an idea that was pitched for Undisputed Era, which was that they would basically split the group, but Cole and O'Reilly would be faces and Fish and Roddy would remain heels. That doesn't necessarily mean it would be that's the next feud for them, but whoever, I'm sorry if you're listening and you put out that theory, but whoever did, that kind of put into my mind like, oh, it might happen tonight or soon, and then once they came out without Cole, it just kind of added fuel to that fire. So that's where I'm thinking that's going.
Do you think that's a way that they could split them up and maybe put them on different brands?
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a way to kind of keep the Undisputed Era brand on somebody, right? Whether that's with O'Reilly and Cole, if they move to a Raw or a SmackDown.
Do they do like an NWO black and white and NWO Wolfpack kind of thing?
Oh, no. Too early for that. It's much too early for that.
No. You're talking about them keeping the Undisputed name.
No. I just mean I mean like two of them are just going to keep it. And then the rest, the other guys will just be.
I want a Wolfpack situation.
Oh, I don't know if I'm ready for a Wolfpack situation. I don't know if I've recovered from the last Wolfpack situation and how that all shook out.
Can we talk about this really quick? The Wolfpack music is like GOAT level status.
It still bangs. It's an incredible theme. I honestly I will go on YouTube deep dives just to watch stuff on the Wolfpack all the time because I just loved all that shit. Like the fissure between Nash and Hogan, and then ultimately Nash getting like all the best members of the NWO and Luger Sting. And Sting. That moment with Sting is something I'll never forget. Like watching that shit.
Wolfpack Sting face paint though was not my jam.
It was a little weird.
Too red.
It was too red. Super red. Very Halloween painty.
But man, yeah, I'll get down to that Wolfpack music.
Bring it back.
I'm down for something like along those lines. I'm interested to see what happens with them in the draft. But let's go back to that women's match. What did you think of it? I thought Candice really showed out. I actually there was a moment in time where I thought they were going to screw Io out of the title. Like when she got hit with the belt and Johnny came down and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, they're really going to screw her out of the belt. But they kept it on her, which I think is the right call. The Johnny moment where he comes down in the ref shirt, I thought that was comedy. I'm actually starting to like Candice and Johnny a little bit more as heels because I think they're leaning into the fact that they're fucking stooges,
Right.
So I enjoyed it. I'm leaning toward this being the end of Johnny and Candice on NXT though.
Man, that's interesting. Yeah, well, I mean, there's really nothing left for them to do. Obviously, Candice could win the NXT Women's title, but she kind of had her shot, and she's had a really solid run there. Johnny's done it all there, right? Like he's actually done.
And I know that he's done the NXT for life thing, but it's fucking wrestling. That shit can change.
And he had flirtations with like being on Raw and SmackDown, right? Like during that time where they all of a sudden brought him, Ricochet, Tommaso up onto the big shows, if you will, and so he's had flirtations with there, and it wouldn't be unfathomable for him to come to Raw and or SmackDown with Candice, which I think would be fantastic. I think they're ready for it. The match with Io and Candice, like you said, was really, really solid. The ending, I don't know if I was as confused as I should have been. Like I think I was just happy to see Toni Storm and Ember back. I was like, whoa, this is great. To have it back to back, you're right. Maybe it was just kind of like law of diminishing returns, like one big return and then another one. And that may have dampened the whole entire mood. But I think, especially with Tegan going out, like that was a huge bummer. And this is just a way of kind of reinvigorating, adding more energy to the women's division. And I mean, you could do a triple threat there. Rhea Ripley's still in the picture. There's a lot of ways that they can go, and maybe that's part of it is that we don't know. With Io. It honestly has felt like a Drew McIntyre situation with her ever since she's won the title, there hasn't really been an extensive feud for her, right? So it's just been this one-offs, challenger after challenger here and there.
Yeah.
And for her to build a longer-term story, maybe it is with Ember and Toni Storm. I don't know. But
the only thing is, it's like, right now she's in this like gray area where she's not a heel, but she's not a face either. Like she was a face in this match against Candice.
Sure.
But like, she's gonna have to flip one way or another with Toni or with Ember. Like if Toni comes back and Toni's the challenger, Toni's heel. Like it has to be.
I mean, does she though? Because Finn is kind of in that same boat where you're like, what is he? But he's just kind of a badass. He's just kind of he's just a badass. Yeah. So because obviously he was doing heel things before winning the title, and then all of a sudden he's helping Kyle O'Reilly up after their match, giving him props, right? Yeah. So if that's the way that NXT wants to go with their champions, I'm not necessarily mad at that, right? I'm always in favor of trying to go against that natural heel and face, like when the person is right to do it. And Finn is doing a great job kind of dancing on that line. Io, I would scale probably a little bit more towards liking her work as a heel than a face, but I also really like her work as a face. So I think they've just found two people that can toe that line between what are they, right? And
yeah, I like Asuka. I like Io's work as a heel a little bit more because I like her crazed like lunatic feel that she has. I think that just comes across better as a heel, and I want to see her get back to being the crazed like heelish Io that we were all like really, really high on. Like now she's getting back to like Genius of the Sky, like kind of white meat babyface actions at times. And I just want to see, I would love to see babyface Ember versus heel Io. I think that would be great. Ember Moon is fucking phenomenal.
She's so good.
She never got the time
Glad
of day
she's
on
back.
the main roster.
Yeah.
And she's so good. And Toni Storm is great. But I feel like Toni could play a real smug heel really well. So I'd be down for that too. So there's possibilities. I just don't think they did a good enough job of clarifying what's next or really kind of setting the stage for what's next. It just kind of felt like a little bit of a muddled mess. We also had the Dream Kushida match. We're not going to talk about that because I just don't want to talk about Dream. Kushida won. Kushida's great. Push Kushida. Kushida versus Damian Priest.
Please.
Sign me the fuck up.
I mean that I feel like that's an automatic. That's a layup right there for them, right? And I mean, yeah, Damian Priest is he has to move on from Johnny. Like you said, Johnny might even be out of the brand. Which, by the way, did you notice that when they're talking about the draft, NXT is not really advertised within.
So it's weird.
The draft.
So like Ryan Satin had put out he screenshotted a tweet of WWE tweeting NXT as part of the draft, and then they deleted that and changed it so they weren't part of the draft. They're not really committing to it. I think that's because certain talent is going to just end up in the draft. Like they're not going to be quote unquote part of the draft.
Sure.
They'll just have certain talent just show up. So we'll see what happens on Friday. I'm also interested to see the format on Friday. Like, are they going to do what they did in the past where they'll do like one draft pick a time? Or are they going to do what they did last time where they announce like one draft pick and then they just announce and then they just reveal like a block.
Yeah,
you know what
I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting how they do it. They kind of do it different every time, right? Since they've introduced this format of the draft, which is, it's honestly kind of one of my favorite times of the year, because it just shakes up the norm, because we kind of get used to what happens in like a year and we kind of get jaded but this mixes it up. Like, it has to mix it up because it kills rivalries automatically. It starts new ones. Although they've started to do that thing right now where they're preempting some of these rivalries, like KO and The Fiend. Like, KO's obviously moving to SmackDown, right? Like,
yeah, they're fucking it up a little bit because they did the Mandy Rose move too.
Right, like the trade, which I don't even know what SmackDown got back, which didn't really make sense.
And then like they're doing this before a pay-per-view. Like, this should be a storyline reset.
Yeah.
So do it after the pay-per-view so that you could just wipe your hands of it. Like, if they were like, this isn't gonna happen, but what if they were like, Randy's on SmackDown, Drew's on Raw, so we're gonna do the Hell in a Cell match, and then I guess the belt switches?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It is a weird choice, but I do think they're going to keep a lot of these main feuds intact, as much as they can.
You know what? I don't want to get too much in the weeds because we're going to do a preview show later this week, but I would love to see the mid-card belts switch brands. And I mean, like, NXT North American belt go to like SmackDown.
Oh,
and see
get NXT in the mix.
NXT.
I see you. Okay, I'm kind of about that.
Because like they can just say it's the North American Championship. It's no longer the NXT North American Championship. It's the North American Championship.
Right.
Like, I would love to see that kind of that level of a mix-up. Obviously, you can't do it with the NXT Championship because that's the brand title. But like with these mid-card belts, you can get a little weird with it. Fuck it. Put the U.S. title on NXT and revive the hell out of it.
I mean, the U.S. title and the IC title have switched places plenty of times.
Yeah.
So it's a mid-card belt is a mid-card belt at this point. So I'm with you. I like that. It would add a little bit of, it would shake things up. Well, let's get weird. Shake up belts, shake up people. Let's draft some things.
I mean, that would put, in this scenario, that would put Bobby Lashley on NXT.
Oh, wait. Hang on. I don't like that because I don't want to break up the Hurt Business.
Okay, so maybe you put the IC belt on there and you put Sami Zayn back on NXT.
Oh, my God. Sami Zayn back on NXT. Now.
The king comes home.
Now you're speaking my language. I like that. Okay. Yeah, I like this idea. This is one of your best ideas that you've had in recent memory. So
I'm feeling good today. It just felt right. Let's shift gears. I know that we didn't really talk too much about Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano. Sure, I mean, just to wrap it up quickly, Damian Priest fucking kicks ass.
He rocks, awesome. Man. He's really good.
He's fucking great, man. He's grown on me. He's awesome. And Johnny Gargano is Johnny Gargano. He's always going to be great, even if his heel work isn't all of that awesome. But let's talk about the big reveal tonight on Raw, which was that Ali is the leader of Retribution.
Wait. Before we do that, let's pay these bills. I like this. That was a good tease. You see that?
Okay.
This is how you do radio. Apparently,
all right.
That's what I learned from radio. Let's do the tease.
Let's take a moment to hear a message from our friends over at DoorDash. You've counted on restaurants. Now they're counting on you. And while their dining rooms may be closed, they're still open for delivery with DoorDash. DoorDash is the app that brings you the food you're craving right to your door. Ordering is easy. Open the DoorDash app, choose what you want to eat, and your food will be left safely outside of your door with new contactless delivery drop-off setting. That's kind of have you done that before? It's weird. They like take a photo of your food.
Yeah, and they send it to you.
Yeah, that's a little
like a kidnapper.
Right, like
it's kind of creepy.
Like first when COVID started, I did this, and they took a photo, and I was like, my food looks sad. And it was just like, that scene in.
No, you're right.
Scene in Parks and Rec when he takes the photos, it's like sad floor.
Right. Yeah. No. It is like that. I also I make it a point to, once they drop it off, and I try to run out and say thank you. Like not run at them. I try to open the door and like yell from afar. So, but the contactless delivery, like what they're doing to make you feel comfortable about having your food delivered is fantastic stuff. They're just going the extra mile. Shout out DoorDash.
It was a great change.
Yeah.
Great change. Just makes my food look a little sad sometimes when sitting on my doorstep.
Yeah.
Choose from your favorite national restaurants like Chipotle, Wendy's, and the Cheesecake Factory. Many of your favorite local restaurants are still open for delivery too. Just open the DoorDash app, select your favorite local spot, and your food is on its way. Right now, the Two Jabronis with a Wrestling podcast listeners can get $5 off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code BLUEWIRE. That's $5 off your wow, this is a weird ad read. That's $5 off and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code BLUEWIRE. Don't forget that's code BLUEWIRE for $5 off your first order with DoorDash. There's like a typo in here, and so when I was reading, I was like, I'm catching this typo, and it's driving me nuts.
There it is. You're a good proofreader. All right, let's talk about Ali.
Let's talk about
Mustafa Ali. By the way, he got his full name back. I'm excited.
Praise be.
He's got the full name back. He's now the leader of Retribution. He's off main event. I'm with it. I am with it.
Let's just pray to God they don't change his name to some fucking random ass like.
Yeah. I mean, you can't now. I mean, maybe this is where you save Slapjack and T-Bar and Mace.
But he's gonna have to.
Maybe you say as Mustafa Ali's like, I gave him these names, and he's still Mustafa Ali, and he's a leader, and if he's just a badass, like, yeah, I gave him these names. Come hate me. I'd almost respect that.
He has to explain to me why he gave a grown man the name Slapjack.
Maybe
explain it to me.
Yeah.
Also, is he the hacker still? Is this connected to the hacker?
I mean, it might be. They kind of did away with that storyline pretty quickly. And by the way, shout out to, I believe it was Gary Cassidy. You remember when Gary came on the show? It was directly after Raw. He was like 5 a.m. his time. And he called it. He was like, I hope Mustafa Ali is the leader of Retribution. And here we are. A few weeks later. It only took a few weeks for this to happen. My God.
We should find that clip and put it up on Twitter and at him.
It will be. It will be. And
okay.
It's because he was like, I think he was the first one to say that around that time, because that's around the time when they were also fully masked and all wearing all black, like they were working a production of theater, like they were in the tech crew. But it was a great call by him. I personally love this because I think Mustafa Ali has so much ammo for why he is the leader of Retribution.
Yep.
Right? Because the amount of times that he's tweeted, and rightfully so, like, hey, watch me and Ricochet on main event, which is goddamn absurd, right?
That should have been a hint that he was kind of pissed off and that he could potentially be the leader.
And so it was already, and look, if that was their long play by being like, we're going to start a faction, Mustafa Ali's going to be the leader, and we're going to leave some breadcrumbs by making him wrestle on main event against Ricochet over and over again. That would be some of the best long-term storytelling they've ever done. It's probably not what happened. It's probably not.
I was gonna say, I don't think it's that deep.
It's not that deep because they definitely didn't know what to do with him, and you know they sometimes they had difficulties figuring out what to do with talented people like him. So I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I like where your head's at, because like if we weren't so jaded by the wrestling business, I think that's where we would be like, oh man, this is a great storyline. They've done all this. They dropped little hints and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You and I both know, like, we're hip to it. Like, they probably thought of this like 2 weeks ago, and they're like, oh shit, let's just do this.
Or how about this? They listened to the pod when Gary came on. They heard Gary's idea. They were like, you know what? That guy knows what he's talking about.
But how are they not taking my ideas? Because I'm coming up with some good ones.
Well, debatable. Yeah, because Gary.
No, I like this. I know that I said at the start of the show that it was weird, and it's weird in a sense of like, it's weird to see them pull the trigger on something that a lot of people were kind of waiting for.
Right.
And like when he walks up to, what was that, Mace and T-Bar, and he just stares at them. And by the way, I just realized that they made Mace look like the Predator.
Yeah, they did. And the
Like,
way he's crawling now, the physicality of that. So they're really
it's legit the Predator.
Yeah.
And the way he just kind of stared at him, and then he turned around and he said, "Get him." I was like, "Oh!" Like I did one of those like classic like "oh shit" moments.
Yeah.
And, like
it was a great moment. It was a great moment.
I love the stand at the end where he's got the hand, which kind of led me to think that it might have been the Hacker. But I'm just hoping that they found a way to connect the Hacker into all of this.
I mean, he might say that, but they kind of, again, I feel like they kiboshed that idea pretty soon after, what was the Hacker's last doing? It was revealing Sonya Deville was conspiring against Mandy Rose, right? So
yeah,
it's, I just think Mustafa Ali deserves this run. Like, to be in a main storyline on Raw, I think they've just kind of, they've pushed and pulled with him so much, and they've kind of left him in the mid card. And even when they brought him back, it was kind of a big deal, right? Like he was supposed to, he was teaming up with Apollo and all of them. So now this is something he can really sink his teeth into. It's just like when Cedric turned heel. You're like, oh, finally, Cedric is going to get his shine. Which, by the way, where the hell is Cedric? Do we know? He's just,
I don't know. Just chilling.
I haven't read anything either on that. So anyway, I was just wondering if you
I mean, I like it for Ali. The thing now is like, what happens to Ricochet? What happens to Apollo? Like, are they just going to be hanging out? Are those babyface? Like,
I hope
never turning.
I still hope Ricochet turns. I still hope he joins the Hurt Business. That would be the money move for me. And I've been calling for that since I wanted that before Cedric turned. You know what I mean? And I thought Cedric would maybe bring him along.
I also think this is one of your Survivor Series matches.
Yeah, that's a good call. I mean,
you have Retribution now with Ali, T-Bar, Mace, Slapjack, and maybe one more.
I mean, you could put Ali in. You could put Mustafa Ali in there, right? So that's 4. Oh wait, you're saying 5? No, you're saying a classic 5-on-5. Yeah.
You can do classic 5-on-5, or you can do the 4-on-4. It may not be a Survivor Series match, but that's a match that you have at Survivor Series where you have the Hurt Business versus Retribution. But then again, like, we're leaving Apollo and Ricochet, who have been a part of the storyline from the beginning, just kind of out in the cold. And it really bothers me because those two are quite possibly the most talented out of all of them.
Ooh, in the ring. In the ring, yes. I think like if now
Apollo, I'm gonna go out and say it. Apollo's the most talented out of all of them.
You think? You think even on the mic?
In the ring, he is the most talented out of all of them. He is a massive specimen.
Interesting.
Who moves like a fucking lightweight. He is incredible, and he's getting better on the mic. Like Ricochet is ungodly in the ring with his moveset, but on the mic he's terrible. Like just not great. He doesn't come across as genuine at all. Like it constantly feels like he's reading a script or remembering a script. Ali has the best of both worlds. He's really great with everything. I just think what Apollo does in the ring is fucking next level, and he doesn't get the respect that he deserves.
Well, that's fair. And I mean, that's been the word around him forever, right? Since he's been on the main roster, and they've tried to give him these mini pushes, and this was what we thought him being U.S. champ was, right? It's like he's finally getting that moment. He's finally getting that push. I do think Ali, I think this is the start of something big for him because he is really, really good in the ring. He also has had the mic skills to like match it. Like, look, is he MJF or The Rock? No, but he is. I haven't had a moment when I'm watching Ali where he's on the mic and it's like, oh, that felt unnatural. And I've had that a lot with like a Cedric, an Apollo, or a Ricochet. So I think this is a great spot for Mustafa Ali to just go off, right, and just kind of take that next step that's kind of eluded him since he started his run here in WWE. So I'm looking forward to this a lot.
And I have one more idea. Feel free to take it, WWE. But what if in the draft, since they realize that, hey, maybe we're not going to do anything with Ricochet and Apollo going forward here as part of the storyline. What if they end up back on NXT and they go for the NXT tag titles?
I'm with that. I mean, honestly, anything's better than look. If you're not going to turn Ricochet and have him join the Hurt Business, I'm with that idea. I think NXT is it's a great refresher.
Bring him down, and that's another person that you can have, another couple people that you can have go after Finn. Apollo Finn, sign me up.
That'd be
Ricochet
nice.
Finn,
Ricochet Finn would
sign
be
me up.
Ricochet Finn might need to be shot with a different camera, just like a long shot, just to get everything that they do. That
or you could even, I mean, when Karrion Kross comes back, you could do Apollo Karrion Kross, which is fucking just banging.
Yeah, that would be.
God, I mean, yes, I need a lot of this stuff to happen, because those guys are too talented not to be in the ring on primetime television. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things going on. NXT has to do some things to kind of shake things up a little bit because they're getting fucking pounded in the ratings by AEW.
That idea is still out there of just moving the nights.
Because, I mean, they're going to get fucking manhandled this weekend or this week.
Yeah.
This week's massive for AEW.
Yeah. But rightfully so. And I think that carrot will still be out there for NXT or for Dynamite to say, like, look, we've seen the math. We've seen the numbers. When you're not competing against each other, you both do better. So I think someone is going to budge. The problem is the minute once someone does budge, yes, the ratings for that show that does budge will go up. The other show will kind of have that superiority complex of, oh, I made them move. You know what I mean? And that's just, does Tony Khan and Vince have large enough egos to be okay with that? And I think right now that they don't. So, it's going to be like this for the foreseeable future, but I'm with you.
Before we move on to our last segment, I just want to get your thoughts on something really quick. And this is not part of our rundown, but so forgive me. But, like, who do you have in this dog collar match on Wednesday? Cody or Brodie Lee?
Ooh, I think I still have Brodie Lee.
Yeah,
winning it. And I just don't – Cody doesn't need it, man. Cody doesn't need a title. He's one of the executive vice presidents of the company. When he's just in any storyline, it's a big deal. Or like him coming back, it just felt like a big deal. Obviously, I guess that was the point. But he could. I feel like he's in that stage of his career and of his life where he's like, I just want to put people over. I don't know. He just has that feel to me. And I think that once you make that move to an executive role, like, it's not just about you at this point. It's about AEW. So I think he's going to do that kind of moving forward.
Yeah, I think he puts him over in part because the Dark Order was not doing all that well before they squashed him.
Right.
When they squashed him, they went over hard and they were on a roll. And then they started to tail off again. And I think, again, like, he's like, I got to interject myself here and put them over once more and just kind of bring them to another level. And I think this is an opportunity to do it. I still can't get over his new hair dye and the way that he looks. He looks like a loan shark.
He looks like Creed when Creed was like, when he from The Office, when he wanted to appear like he wasn't old.
He also looks like an anime character, like an anime villain.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm interested to see how this match goes. I think this is an opportunity, again, to give Dark Order a much-needed boost. It's just like a little steroid shot of like, hey, Cody's going to come in and do some fucking great work, and you're off to the races again for a few months.
Yep.
So, and then they got the singles tournament that's going on as well, which I think is just an easy way for them to get to Hangman Omega, which they've been hinting at. It's just a fun way to do other matches while ultimately getting to the point where you want to be with your story. So let's wrap up. We'll talk more about that on Thursday because I'm sure there's going to be things to talk about. But let's wrap up. I know that we had planned to do a watch along of In Your House Bad Blood, which was the first Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Shawn Michaels.
Fantastic match. Fantastic.
In my mind, is still the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time. That thing was just bananas from start to finish. But life happens. Some things just didn't work out, so we couldn't record. But funny thing is today, Monday, just so happens to be the 23rd anniversary of Kane's debut, which happened at In Your House Bad Blood. So
that match, yeah.
I want to talk about it because that moment scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Oh, it was
And
terrifying. It was terrifying.
Kane, for a good moment of time, was the most horrifying thing I would watch as a kid. He had the voice thing because he was burned.
Yeah, he was
But
burned.
I can't think of a debut of a brand new character where I felt that like involved and that like in awe. That was the moment for me. Maybe it was because I was 10, 11 years old, but I still remember that to this day. I still consider it as one of the most jaw-dropping and impactful debuts in wrestling history. And it kickstarted a career, or it kickstarted a character that's been around for 20 years.
It was a huge debut, and I do want to give credit where credit is due. I think I don't think it could have failed because of how they packaged it. They're like, it's the Undertaker's brother, right? And Paul Bearer is bringing him in. So already there's this aura around that whole storyline. And obviously they picked the right guy in Glenn Jacobs to do it. And they made him seem like a badass from the get-go, like ripping off the door, kicking the ref's ass. And then the look on Taker's face also really sells that moment and that debut where he's like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
This is the dude that was my brother who was left for dead or whatever. And all of that. And just the way he manhandled the Undertaker, which we never saw up until that point, right? Like, being a kid especially, Undertaker was this fictional character that just kind of had this aura around him that made him seem unbeatable. And then all of a sudden, who's this other person that made him look kind of mortal? It kind of took away the Undertaker vibe, and it just made them look like two people. It's a very, very memorable. It's one of the first pay-per-views I ever had. Like my mom hated the fact that I watched wrestling, but she knew I liked it. One of her coworkers would watch it on pay-per-view and then tape it, give her the tape, and then give it to me for me to watch. And this, I distinctly remember watching this like the next day or something like that, and it was just wild to think about. Fun fact, also, by the way, I met Kane at a Blockbuster Video after I stood in line for like 3 hours. It was
hell yeah.
I'm still not sure if that was actually him.
Was he like promoting like the See No Evil movie?
No. This was when I was a kid. This is like pretty shortly after he debuted, and I can't confirm it was actually him because of the mask, but it was actually supposed to be the Big Show who was going to be at this meet and greet. And then my mom dropped me off, left, and then like I'd been there for maybe like 2 hours, and then they came out and they're like, "Hey, the Big Show can't make it, but Kane's gonna come instead." So it was it
was just the Big Show in the Kane mask.
He probably just didn't want to do it. Yeah, jackass.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
I mean, I just remember this in part because like they debuted a new character in the biggest storyline in the main event.
Yeah.
And like I still remember Vince McMahon's call. That's gotta be Kane.
Yeah.
That's gotta be Kane. Like everything about it was perfect. Like that's something that I don't think will ever happen like in this day and age, because they're never gonna debut a brand new character in the main event without ever running it through NXT or without this person being well known on the indies. Like they didn't, like, if you think about it, like AJ Styles would be the perfect person, like if they were ever going to do it, to debut like just crashing a main event in the biggest storyline on a pay-per-view without any vignettes beforehand, just shows up, you know what I mean? Like AJ Styles, or like if they were to ever sign Kenny Omega, like you would think, okay, that would work. But like those are known commodities. Like this was a brand new character, everything fresh. And they're like, fuck it, we're putting him in the main event and this is it. And it just went over like nobody's business. Paul Bearer is there to kind of make you realize how important he is. And then it was off to the races. And then Kane just had this career that expanded, that lasted way longer than it should have. We've had 4 different versions.
Right.
Including
corporate Kane.
Yes.
Corporate Kane.
Guy Can't Speak Kane. The No Mask Kane, which was still the weirdest segment ever. Corporate Kane. And then Team Hell No Kane.
And look, to your point too, it's incredible that they entrusted this brand new character in this main event, Undertaker's brother, to Glenn Jacobs, who up until that point had kind of failed. I don't know, failed is maybe a harsh word, but he hadn't done as well with a couple of previous characters, right? He was the dentist. Oh my God, why is the name
Dwight Yankum?
Right. Ivan Yankum.
Ivan Yankum.
Ivan Yankum.
Yeah, Ivan Yankum, DDS, and then he was
also Fake Diesel.
Fake Diesel. Yeah,
right.
Fake Diesel.
So to be and I know he's talked about this a little bit. I think it was on the Edge and Christian pod, he also did the Broken Skull sessions with Stone Cold, and he just talked about how, again, he could have been done. He could have not been in any of it. There could be no Kane. But once they found this idea, like I think his original costume or ring gear, like he had a cape. He looked like he looked like an anime character, maybe like Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon, except burned and with a mask. So it's just a testament to the work that he actually put in. You know, shout out to him for making Kane like legitimate, and after a while, even. We give Chris Jericho a lot of credit for finding ways to evolve. On the surface, it would seem that Kane has like one note that he can hit, right? Just as a character. But they found different ways to make him. They made him a comedic character like twice, I think.
Yep.
They made him a corporate character. They made him a monster. And for Glenn Jacobs to be able to do that is pretty damn incredible with, again, a character that on the surface you would see him as pretty monotone, and that's just it. Almost like a Braun Strowman. Like Braun Strowman hasn't been able to get out of one note. Right?
Yeah, now we're getting Braun Strowman, Keith Lee.
Right. Ugh.
That's a lot of meat.
That's a
slapping meat.
There
a lot
it is.
Of beefy men slapping meat.
I knew you were waiting for that. I knew you.
Big E owes me royalties for that because I came up with it first. Now he's stealing my thunder.
He does.
Big meaty men slapping meat. But yeah. Shout out to Kane. That moment still kind of is ingrained in my mind. But yeah, I just lost my train of thought because now I can think about is Kane with the voice thing.
Suck it.
Yeah.
Suck it. That was great.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. So let's wrap up the show. Make sure that you guys subscribe and follow us on social at 2Jabronis Pod on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow us follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Alas. You can follow Ben at Cruise Control. It's Control with a K. And also make sure you subscribe and like our YouTube channel. You get to see our beautiful faces, my cool heel poster, some other Star Wars posters. I have a Macho Man poster in my room too. You know, things like this you can only see on our YouTube channel. So subscribe, like, do all that cool stuff, and yeah.
And don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you download your podcast. And if you're one of our fantastic Apple Podcast users, please, please, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you're feeling spicy, leave a review. And don't forget to if you're one of our Spotify listeners, hit us with that follow and help us climb those Spotify charts. All right, everyone. We will be back on Friday on your podcast feeds.
Oh, my God. I lost my fantasy matchup by a point because Mason motherfucking Crosby missed a PAT. What the fuck?
This is the live trials and tribulations of wrestling and sports fans, specifically fantasy football. I'll be back on Friday. Jeremy might not be because he might have thrown his phone into a river and might have had to go chase it. Chase after it. He's so mad. For everyone who's on the video, I'm leaving this in. You'll get to see live anguish. All right, but we will be back on Friday in your podcast feeds. In the meantime, if you can't stay home, if you can't wear a mask, wash your hands, and always and forever, Black Lives Matter. All right, everyone, we will talk to you soon. Peace.
Later.